I'm longer than you. Anyway, he was 6 foot tall. I was told by Bhakti Bharati Maharaj that during Bhaktisiddhanta's time, Bhaktisiddhanta was asked, why don't we send Madha Maharaj to Europe? And he said, who will bear the expenses of the month? This Bhakti Madha Maharaj was the greatest collector. And I had an experience of that, which I call the master at work. He was sitting in his room, and 1, 2, 3, 4 ladies came in. So it's always, any brahmachari is always on duty to be called in to sit. Sannyasi cannot sit alone with women, even one woman, even an old woman. So I passed by. He goes, Chidananda, sit here. So I came in and sat. And it was like, hey kid, sit here and learn something. The Mayapur Parikrama was about to come up. I went twice. And one time I was walking with Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, and one time I was walking with Bhakti Bharati Maharaj. But so these 4 ladies were the wives of the kings of grain merchants of Calcutta. So there was the rice lady, there was the dal lady, there was the wheat flour lady, and there was the sugar lady. And they said, we've come to offer the parikrama what do you want? We are here to supply the grains for the upcoming Mayapur Parikrama. And he goes, what do you do? I'm the dal lady. He says, das mond. A mond is 200 pounds. He's asking for 10 monds. He's asking for 2,000 pounds of dal. And she freaks. My husband won't allow. 5 months. Okay, yes. Then he doesn't have to say anything. He turns to the rice lady. And she goes, 5 months. And he just turns to the other lady. 5 months. Then he turns to the sugar lady and she goes, 6 months. 6 months. Then he turns back. 6 months. 6 months. And the first lady, she held it 5. And they walked out like, we got off easy. So you can imagine, he got thousands of tons of grains in 2 minutes just by a low look. But he overbet them. He overbid them. See? And then he dropped. And he accepted the drop. On the parikrama, we went to...
How much did he ask for originally?
10. 10 mons each, 2,000 pounds each. Yeah. A ton each. So, on the day we went to the parikrama, it was a hard day. And Maharaj came the last portion to the Nrsimha temple that's way out.
Excuse me, what year was this?
Huh?
What year?
69. I stayed with him from 69 to 71 here. And so that year we went out, and that Nrsimha temple is, we don't know who established. Might be from the Satyuga. And I just saw today an old picture of Nrsimha painted by a German artist with some ill-translated, did you ever see that? Oh, it's a big pillar, it's split in half. Very seriously done. So what is that Nrsimha temple you do on parikrama on one day? Way out. And the fields had just been chopped up, so there were hard clods of dirt all the way. Whoa. But Maharaj had sent out a cart with to make paramanna, sweet rice, for Nrsimha. But that day was Ekadasi, so we didn't eat it there. We kept it for the next day. So there was a small stone temple and a small stone platform. And I had walked across it and back, and my feet were ready to blister. So then Maharaj came, And everybody was pretty suffering too from their feet. But Kirtan started, and Madam Raj got on that hot platform and started to dance. And a few steps, and I yelled, "Joel, water!" And somebody gave me a little container of water, and I went over and put it on his feet, and he patted me. And then two brahmacharis came with 4 buckets and washed the whole place. Later that night, he spoke to me. He said, "It was a hard day today. This is tapasya." And then I spoke a little bit, and I said, "Today's a hard day today. This is tapasya."
Oh.
I said, "That is our dhan. That is our wealth. Yes, that we took some troubles, hard troubles." And he loved that. He was repeating his own instruction to me. And then later that night, some brahmachari comes up with a warm bucket of water for my feet. So I think I gave cold water to him, and he gave hot water to me. Then in 1970, that's when Prabhupada came, and I went on to Prabhupada's camp. Go, Premananda!
So, can you explain how it was Prabhupada who, brought you or sent you to India because the devotees don't get the connection? Because you ended up with Prabhupada, but it began with Prabhupada too, didn't it?
Well, I joined in New York with you, and
Then in 69,
who was in our initiation? Were you in my initiation? Because there were 4.
No, I came later.
Came later. Then who was 4 in mine? Kirtananda, Brahmananda, me, and who? I don't remember the 4th one.
But then in 69...
So then Prabhupada was ill. He went to India, and then a few months later, he went in June, and I came in September that year, and came. Then Prabhupada got many letters that he could go back to America. They got a visa, and he went back, and I stayed, and Prabhupada gave me the keys to Radha Damodar temple, because he said he had a system. You'd go to the Delhi Chippiwada place, and here's the key to the drawer. You open the drawer, and there's the key to the Almirah. You open the Almirah, and there's the keys to Radha Damodar. The front door, the back door, and the kitchen. So if somebody found one key, they may not know. And then, so Prabhupada left back to America, and the only person there that was speaking good English, but not frequently, was Bon Maharaj, and Bon Maharaj was not reliable. So Prabhupada sent me a letter to, actually he sent the letter to another American, Rishikesh. I don't know if he was Rishikesh. Nanda, he was initiated in Germany, but he had fled the military during Vietnam. So he was a deserter. He was afraid of, and Bon Maharaj said, "You stay with me and you'll be okay." But of course, if you applied to the Indian government, they would give you asylum, which I did. That's how I got it, years at a time. And so then Prabhupada wasn't pleased that I was going to Bon Maharaj so much, and he sent a letter to Rishikesh that you and Achyutananda go to Sridhar Maharaj. I regard him as my Shiksha Guru.
So that's the backstory of how you
Came to Sridhar Maharaj.
And then came to...
Then Madhava. And now here.
Thank you. Srila Bhakti Dwight Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Does anybody else have any glorification of him before I read something? Abhimanyu Prabhu? Abhimanyu Prabhu is a disciple, fortunate disciple of Srila Bhakti Vallabh Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, who is the one soul, two bodies, godbrother of Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. And both of them are direct leading disciples of Srila Bhakti Dwight Madhav Goswami Maharaj. So that's the relation.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vancha Kalpatruvyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes. How long should I limit it? 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
I think 10 minutes is good.
Okay. So, another of my Gurudev's godbrothers, Bhakti-Niketen Swami Maharaj, narrated some of the early pastimes of Srila Bhakti Madhava Maharaj. And so, one of them, I remember I was on this day 4 years ago. I actually got to hear him speak this personally, that Swami Maharaj, who was at the time Bhagavan Das Brahmachari, he arranged this preaching program for Srila Madhava Maharaj somewhere in the jungles of Assam. They were originally going in cars, and then eventually they had to just get off on foot and walk there. And Srila Madhava Maharaj, you would occasionally ask, Bhagavan, where are you bringing me? We're out in the middle of nowhere here. But Bhagavan was confident, so they made some tents and encampments, and gradually, just out of nowhere, people were starting to come from all over the jungle. And Madhava Maharaj said, "Where are these people coming from?" He said, they're just it's just, oh Gurudev, it's just by your divine mercy, everybody's just attracted to your glorious personality. And they could see in the distance in the jungle there was all these little lights moving around. And he said, yeah, people were bringing their lanterns. The jungle was so thick the sun wouldn't even come, and the sunlight wouldn't even hit the ground. And so and so gradually people started coming. There was hundreds and thousands of people, and they were bringing all kinds of rice, dal, sabjis, everything they needed to cook a feast for everybody, to speak Harikatha. And so Srila Madhava Maharaj and a couple of his godbrothers, I think Krishna Keshav Prabhu and others, they would just take turns speaking Harikatha throughout the day. And so all day there was Harikatha going on. And I think Madhava Maharaj was originally planning on staying for 1 week, but he ended up staying a couple of extra days because the people in those jungles, they didn't want him to leave. They just fell in love with his beautiful personality. Judananda Prabhu said he was very tall and strong. Also, one of the reasons I heard that he was not sent to Europe was that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was afraid that, he's so handsome, so some of the women there are going to try and, make him break his brahmacharya, so he didn't want to send him to Europe. And so there were even people in the jungle, like they used to live up in trees, and they just had these ladders that they could kind of release and then wind up, so that they would hide it there so that tigers wouldn't eat them, and they would hunt and eat animals in the forest. But even they came down and they paid their homage to Srila Madhava Maharaj. And as the week was coming to the end, Bhagavan Das Brahmachari and others, they asked the people in the jungle, because it occurred to Bhagavan, wait a second, they don't speak the language that my Guru Maharaj is speaking Harikatha in. What makes them come back? They don't even know what he's saying. And yet some of them had actually taken initiation within that week or so. They actually took initiation from my grand spiritual master. And so he asked them, oh, what did you understand from the Harikatha? And they said, oh, I understood that I'm not this body, I'm an eternal spirit soul, and I'm the eternal servant of Krishna. My constitutional function is to engage in pure devotional service to Krishna. He thought, how did they get this? They don't even speak the language. And so some of my Param Gurudev's godbrothers said, oh my God, he's Antaryami. Like you were saying, Sri Guru is Antaryami. He just went into their hearts and he spoke the Harikatha. Like the Antaryami, just speaking his Harikatha goes straight into their hearts. And so although the people and so he demanded, no, tomorrow we have to go. And so and everybody in everyone's house, everything seems really quiet. And Bhagavan Das Brahmachari said, well, Gurudev, they can't bear the thought of your separation now. And so people, youth and elderly people alike, they were all they were all gathered around my Param Gurudev as he so that they couldn't go. And my Param Gurudev's godbrothers remarked, we read in the Bhagavatam that when Akrura was taking Krishna and Balaram, the gopis, they got in front of the cart to try and stop him. But now we're actually seeing with our own eyes this, this pastime played before us, that they're so attracted to the way he spoke Krishna Katha to them over this past week, that they're practically ready to sacrifice their life. They can't bear the thought of his separation. And so this is one pastime that really touched my heart when I heard it a few years ago. It shows my Param Gurudev, he's really giving Krishna the all-attractive personality by which people, didn't even understand the language, yet their hearts were totally captured. And I'm really just briefly summarizing. I can send people the recordings for these lectures. That Bhagavan Das Brahmachari, he narrated this personally, so I can, if anyone wants, I can share that with them. And then another was that, and Turya Swami Maharaj, he prefaced this next pastime by saying that what happened between the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, we should take it to be a pastime and be careful not to commit any offense or criticism to any party involved. And so, after Srila Saraswati Thakur's Tirabhav disappearance day, or his disappearance from this world, Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj took ownership of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's temples within Mayapur and Navadvip. And my Param Gurudev was actually also initiating some disciples at the same time, even though Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj was the main acharya. Gradually some disagreement arose, and so my Param Gurudev had to leave with his disciples. And so, if I remember correctly, he started preaching in Kolkata, and Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj, he basically blocked Mayapur off for his godbrothers, so that only him and his camp would be allowed in Mayapur. And there was a threat that they would get violent if any other devotees tried to enter within Mayapur. And so my Param Gurudev, he started asking his disciples, will anyone go into Mayapur and retrieve Mayapur for us, so that all the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur can do bhajan there and preach there? And so my Param Gurudev kept asking his disciples, will anyone go there for me? Will anyone retrieve the land of Sridham Mayapur for me? And so gradually, one Krishna Prasad Das Brahmachari, Radha Govinda Brahmachari, and again Bhagavan Das Brahmachari, they agreed to go. So this would have been around 1950-ish. I forget the exact year. And so they stayed one night at Srila Sridhar Maharaj's mat, and then I think in the middle of the night they had to take a boat, and they had to do the whole thing incognito to find a piece of land in Ishodhyan. Part of my Param Gurudev's Pranam mantra is Ishodhyana Prabhavasya Prakashakayate Namaha. He manifested the glories of Ishodhyan in Mayapur. Isha Udyan means the garden of Isha, of the Supreme Lord. And so my Param Gurudev, he was often writing letters to Krishna Prasad Das Brahmachari saying that, that Bhagavan Das Brahmachari, who's now Turya Swami Maharaj, he's very violent. He threatened that if anyone attacks him, he's going to kill him. I don't want him to break the Vaishnava principles. That I don't want him to do Kshatriya Dharma. The Vaishnava Dharma is Trinadapi Sinichena. Please make sure that Bhagavan doesn't get into any fights. But gradually those brahmacharis, they made a little encampment so they could stay there, and after facing a lot of heat from some of the guards around Mayapur and some of Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj's disciples, for some reason Krishna Prasad Das Brahmachari, he was friends with some of the mafia there, and so they actually helped Srila Madhav Maharaj clear the land, and gradually my Param Gurudev, he started doing the first Navadvip parikrams in around the 1950s. So in that way he actually established, after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he established the first Gaudiya Math, the first temple in Ishodhyan. And then as each of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati were making their temples, they stayed in my Param Gurudev's temple, and they used his facility so that they could go and then build their various temples. And I've heard of Chaitanya Prabhu, you stayed there in Mayapur for some time as well?
Yeah.
Yes. So that was just a little glimpse into the glory of my Param Gurudev. He opened up Sridham Mayapur for all the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and then help them as they all built their own temples there. So that's his contribution to Lord Chaitanya's mission. Hare Krishna.
One of the many.
One of the many, yeah.
Thank you.
I never heard that history.
Yeah. Yeah, I can direct anyone, I can show anyone the video recording if anyone wants.
Okay. So you've just heard two very nice glorifications, beautiful glorifications, which showed an atom of the glory of his attractive features to his powerful features of convincing people to surrender to the Lord with the pounds of rice and things and dal, and how he's antaryami, and because of the power of his pure Harikatha, it didn't make any difference what language he was speaking. He was speaking the language of love, which everyone could understand. You've heard about his munificence, his magnanimity, his tapasya, and his non-sectarianism, which is, once he opened up the temple in Syodan Mayapur, it became open for all the godbrothers, no matter what institutions or temples he had. He didn't consider that these devotees are disciples of this godbrother and this is of that godbrother. Rather, he loved and gave his mercy to all of the disciples of his godbrothers, and all facility to them
To establish their own temple.
to establish their own temples. And according to Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he even ordered his disciples to serve with the same carefulness those disciples who were considered themselves his enemies and tried to stop his mission. And that brought Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj to tears when even after he served some of those godbrothers, his god uncles, and they were still offensive. Some became changed their hearts because of his consistent love for them and serving them through his disciples. And some, even when they didn't, he still insisted to his disciples that they serve them just like they served him. And that's what brought Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj to tears. Now I'm calling on Vasanti Devi Dasi. She's going to give some glorification.
I just wanted to read something real short from our Gurudev. On his own Vyasa Puja in 1997, he said, I have seen practically in my Gurudev's Vyasa Puja and others, on that day they first worship their Gurudev and whole Guru Parampara, then Gaurachandra, Nitai Prabhu, then Gaur Gadadhar, Radha, and Krishna and Guru. After that they honor their godbrothers according to seniority of bhakti, not of age. They used to honor all the Vaishnavas, godbrothers, and others. When I was once present at the Vyas Puja observance of Pujapad Bhaktidayat Madhav Maharaj, who is my Shiksha Guru, my Gurudev's godbrother, I saw that he was honoring and offering mala, garland, chandan, sandalwood paste, and opulent cloth to all the senior Vaishnavas, his godbrothers. I was there. Suddenly he came to me and gave me a mala and chandan, garlanded me, and gave so many cloths to me. I was astonished. Why did he do this? I am not qualified to be his disciple. His disciples are more elevated than me, and he is honoring me. My heart became full of honor for him. This is Vyasa Puja.
Thank you. So most of you are disciples of Srila Bhakti, either Shiksha or Diksha disciples of our Gurudev Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. So it must have been heart melting to hear how the feelings of Gurudev for Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj. Vasanti, I'm going to read now. I wonder if you could look through volcanic energy and see where the spot is when he established Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's birthplace. I'm reading from Srila Bhakti, again, Bharati Goswami Maharaj's book of lectures about his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj, some of his glories. The apparent endpoint, can you make it a bit louder, Vishwanga Prabhu? Okay. The apparent endpoint others' attempts was for him a starting point. Oh, I can't do this is too hard. This is where he got more energy. Every year after the Gaur Purnima festival, Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj used to invite many of his godbrothers to attend a function at his Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat in Koleraganj, Navadvip Dham. During the time of one such occasion, Guru Maharaj, so whenever he says Guru Maharaj, that's Srila Bhakti Madhav Maharaj. After the completion of the Gaur Purnima festival, was engaged in managing the affairs of Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat, such as bidding farewell to the pilgrims and settling accounts. And despite his sincerest desire and efforts to reach Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat in a punctual manner, he arrived somewhat late to the assembly of Vaishnavas gathering there. Upon seeing that Guru Maharaj had arrived, Shri Srimad Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Maharaj said, Madhav Maharaj, you have arrived very late today. We have been waiting for you for so long. Guru Maharaj replied, Maharaj, because many pilgrims had come to our mat for Navadvip Dham Parikrama, we have incurred a great debt. Srila Bharati Maharaj used to mention how Srila Bhakti Madhav Maharaj never cared if people could pay for their Navadvip Parikrama or not. He was just mainly concerned that pay or no pay, everybody would have that opportunity for Parikrama, for Guru Seva, for Vaishnava Sadhu Sangha. Guru Maharaj replied about the debt. Today I was busily engaged in settling these debts and resolving other issues. So he would borrow money and then figure out a way to pay that money back just so that people could come who weren't able to pay. So he was resolving other issues so that the services of the mat could continue. I beg for you and all Vaishnavas present to please forgive me for my delay. Shri Srimad Bhakti Vicharya Yavara Goswami Maharaj then said, Niramban Adabait Kachit. There's no need of such an ostentatious display. Why have you taken on more responsibility than you can easily handle? Hearing this, Shri Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj said, Madhav Maharaj, I would like to reply to Pujapada Yavara Maharaj's comment. Yes, Maharaj, as you please, Guru Maharaj replied. For an elephant, Srila Sridhar Maharaj started, a stick of sugar cane is as insignificant as snuff tobacco, whereas for an ant, the same sugar cane stick is like a mountain. An activity that to us is like a mountain, an activity that to us may seem like a huge endeavor is nothing but an insignificant task for Pujapad Madhav Maharaj. He can perform such deeds without any difficulty. In this regard, I have had first-hand experience. Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had sent Pujapad Madhav Maharaj, this is still Srila Sridhar Maharaj speaking, Pujapad Madhav Maharaj, then known as Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari, and me to acquire some land at the meeting place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai at Kavor, near the banks of the Godavari River, in order to establish Sriman Mahaprabhu's footprints, his padapit there. Sometimes you see like marble plaques of the lotus footprints of great personalities. After many days of endless endeavor, I said, Hayagriva Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada has sent us here with great hope to obtain a piece of land on which to establish Mahaprabhu's Padapita. My brahmachari name given by Srila Prabhupada was Ramananda Das, and this is the meeting place of Sriman Mahaprabhu and Sri Ramananda Rai. Although we have tried our best to acquire land, we have not been successful. What is your opinion? Should we stay here longer, or should we leave for Madras for some preaching? Sri Hayagriva Prabhu replied, It is my feeling that we have thus far not made any special endeavors. I think we should continue our efforts for some time more. Srila Sridhar Maharaj then mentioned to all the Vaishnavas present, You may estimate his capability from this statement of his. The apparent end point of our attempts was for him a beginning point of fresh endeavors. Later, through his tireless efforts, a large plot of land was acquired in Kavor, and a mutt was established there. Srila Prabhupada used to describe Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari as having volcanic energy, and thus the name of this book. And Sri Vasudeva Prabhu used to call him Sarva Gate, one who excels in completing all types of tasks. So he's continuing, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. My personal view about Pujapad Madhav Maharaj is that he is comparable to none other than Srila Vakreshwara Pandit, an associate of Mahaprabhu who could dance continuously, as Sripad Chudananda Prabhu mentioned, when it was so hot and his own feet were just about to get blisters. On that same hot ground, Srila Bhakti Dwait Madhav Goswami Maharaj began to dance. So Vakreshwara Pandit could dance in kirtan for 72 hours without becoming fatigued. And Mahaprabhu said about him, if I had another wing like him, I could fly. Beyond the glorification of my Guru Maharaj, this narration relates a significant lesson. Although Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj was senior to my Guru Maharaj, having joined the Mat and having been awarded Sannyas Vesh earlier than him, he did not hesitate in observing and speaking about the good qualities of his junior godbrother. Sri Goloka Vrindavan is the topmost abode, superior to all other Vaikuntha planets, and it remains eternally free from even the faintest scent of jealousy and envy. So because Srila Sridhar Maharaj is among the great personalities who are residents from there, he remained free from the material limitations of this world, and was therefore able to offer genuinely such glorification. Did you find it, Vasanti?
125.
This is extremely important. Many of us have visited Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada's birthplace in Jagannath Puri. And most of us don't know that it was established by the tremendous endeavor, or let's say what would seem like a tremendous endeavor by Srila Bhakti Doit Madhav Goswami Maharaj. So we'll read about that. So that's his appearance place. There's a room for him there. And we go and offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada there. And thousands, hundreds of thousands of pilgrims go there. And this temple is on the Grand Road, that really wide road that's like at least a block long, if not more, block wide. And that's where Lord Jagannath comes. So everyone gets the opportunity to stop at that temple, and we spent lots of time there with Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj. Can something be done about this, or is it just me? The speaker? Indupati Prabhu?
I think that's the result of the fan being on.
Oh, the fan. Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's true.
A little bit away from your mouth.
Okay. When Guru Maharaj came to know about the possibility of acquiring the divine appearance place of Srila Prabhupada in Puri, he firstly approached Shishimad Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, who was the presiding acharya of Sri Chaitanya Math at that time. Through Shishimad Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, he requested him, "There is no scarcity of resources at your disposal. Please assume proprietorship of this place so that we may all gain the fortune of visiting and offering our pranam there without restrictions." Srila Tirtha Goswami Maharaj replied, "Srila Prabhupada has not given me any specific instructions regarding the preservation of that place. Rather, he advised me to incessantly engage in the service of Mayapur Dham alone, and thereby highlight the supremacy of Mahaprabhu's teachings, and his Dham. Moreover, Srila Prabhupada himself made no endeavors to acquire the appearance place of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He established so many other places of Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he Is there a temple there?
That's where I met Lalita Prasad, and there's his house.
TV screen.
Exactly.
I think that's how it goes. And I went there, I had met Tapanna Damodar Maharaj, and he said, Lalita Prasad is here. I said, who? He said, Bhaktisiddhanta Bhaktivinoda Thakur's son. He looks just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I said, we're going now. Now! I didn't want to, I should see him, even if I should fall and die in a minute, I would want to see him and see the place of Birnagar, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's place. Then also, there's another place also that I took devotees and said that at this place, it was on our American Prabhupada Parikrama, and I said Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted that foreigners would come to this place and chant Jai Satchinandan, Jai Satchinandan. So I said, here we are! Jai, and I started Jai Satchinandan there. And that was like a 2-story house though, in my memory, but my memory is 50 years ago. So,
Running Dhammashala or something?
yeah. So, but we went to Birnagar, and one thing that is there on the beautiful grounds is a Siddha Am tree. Siddha Bokul means, Siddha in this case means eternal. The tree isn't eternal, but a tree may grow up. This was a mango tree, Am tree. Mango tree had grown up eternally, but over the years, over the centuries, over the millenniums, the tree will grow up and maybe live 200-300 years and die. But then from the root, another branch will come up from the root and take on and live there. So we went in and saw Lalita Prasad Thakur, and he showed us that, Brahmachari showed us that place. He might have been 100 years old by that time. We don't know. But I was able to see he had shelves. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I don't know how it was done, but it was in handwriting, in bound books, right up to the last page. So I don't know how it was cut and bound that way. To know, but there were all of his books there. Kalyan Kalpataru, Sharanagati, and many other books. Maybe Jivadharma was there. I was able to hold him. And I think ISKCON's Bhakti Swarup, what is his name?
Swarup Damodar?
No, Sura.
Bhakti Charu.
No. Prabhupada's assistant for a while. Australian.
Oh, sorry.
Hari Sodi is made copies on, what is it called, scanning. They scanned all of them. So that's somewhere. What, is there more to the question?
No, I just wanted to know if anything was established at his birthplace, and you helped us
Well,
understand.
Prabhupada went to Bhakti Lalita Prasad, and he didn't want anyone there.
Thank you. So now we know there's a place.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to see his birthplace. But Srila Prabhupada and his disciples established so many places of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Gaudiya We have the place of his writing, his rooms, his samadhi, his also the room of Srila Prabhupada himself, and the temple of Srila Gorkashore Das Babaji Maharaj, where they associated. And then nearby there is Swananda Sukata Kunj, where he also wrote and performed his pastimes. So let's continue then. Upon receiving Srila Tirtha Goswami Maharaj's reply, my Guru Maharaj, in the company of his godbrother, Sripad Jagamohan Prabhu, took me along. Me means Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, with him as his assistant to approach Sri Bhakti Keval Odalomi Maharaj, the then presiding acharya of Gaudiya Math in Bagh Bazar, who is the brother of our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and requested him to acquire the custody of Srila Prabhupada's appearance place. He first wanted to give the credit to others, we can see. Upon hearing Guru Maharaj's request, Sri Odalomi Maharaj replied, "We cannot spend such an amount of money for this. Moreover, you are known as the second best donation collector of the Gaudiya Math, and therefore no financial constraints could stop you if you were to take charge of this responsibility." After their meeting, when we were returning to our mutt in a taxi, Guru Maharaj mentioned a Bengali proverb to Sri Jaganmohan Prabhu, Bhagirama Gangapayana. A mother with many sons does not receive the fortune of having her ashes submerged in the Ganga. Let's do that again, I didn't get that. A mother with many sons does not receive the fortune of having her ashes submerged in the Ganga. The logic behind this is that each of her sons will not bother arranging for her mother's ashes to be put in the Ganga because they will assume that the other sons will do it. As a result, her ashes never reach the Ganga. Contemplating in this way, Guru Maharaj said, everything will be Then there's a glorification of how his godbrother the conclusion is, all his godbrothers remember Madhav Maharaj in all their undertakings, and they rely on anyone else. Upon hearing this, Guru Maharaj understood that his godbrothers were blessing him by entrusting this service to him alone. And so he offered his prostrated Dandavat Pranam to all of them. That was at a big of acquiring Srila Prabhupada's appearance place. Even the devotees of ISKCON hope of acquiring this place after meeting with innumerable hardships and complications. My Guru Maharaj, however, endured various physical and mental adversities in he came very close to succeeding in his service. In the meantime, Sri Bhakti Pragyan Yati Maharaj, a disciple of Sri Srimad Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Goswami Maharaj of Sri Chaitanya Math, submitted to the authorities of Dakshin Parvat Mat, the owners of the site of Srila Prabhupada's appearance at that time. What did he do? He submitted a collection of documents and letters asserting, ours is the original and real Gaudiya Math. We alone reserve the right to bear the responsibility of managing the appearance place of Prabhupada. So before they declined and now they're not allowing. The institution on whose behalf Sri Madhav Maharaj has submitted his application is not the original Math. They also submitted to the High Court a petition requesting a stay order on the transfer of rights. Guru Maharaj was distraught to hear this news. In the beginning, before he made any independent endeavor to acquire the property, he had approached Srila Bhakti Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, and only due to his refusal did he take up the responsibility. At this point, after so much endeavor, it was unfeasible for him to relinquish his role in that service. Although Guru Maharaj was upset, he was not the slightest bit disheartened. He told me, in the absence of this obstacle, we might have made only gradual progress in our efforts. But now, in the face of adversity, we will proceed with greater determination and make all necessary efforts to achieve success. Very important for us. Obstacles become paths to success. Who's the epitome of that? Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj is one of the maidservants of Srimati Radhika. So when she wants to get darshan of Krishna, she might, and Krishna's up on top of Govardhan Hill, and she wants to see that distance, she'll stand on a sharp stone, moonstones, which are very hot and sharp, because that affords her a good darshan. And she won't feel it. She'll feel it cool. Why? Because it gave her that opportunity. So her maidservants are the same way.
But there's another one who puts water on her feet.
I'm sorry? There's another one, namely Achyutananda Prabhu, who puts water on his feet when he's... Oh, this is the opposite. It's someone who helps the pure devotee, maidservant of Radharani. He was already standing on hot land and a stage of hot stone and dancing, and Achyutananda Prabhu assisted him by pouring cold water on him, on his feet. Actually, Achyutananda Prabhu just reminded me of Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj when he finally left his Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, when there were so many obstacles to his preaching, he went to Delhi right in the middle of Gaur Purnima festival, and Vasanti and I left Mayapur and joined him in Delhi, and he told us he told us that so many people are offering me other mutts, and other people are offering obstacles. I don't see the difference. I see everything is coming from Krishna, and I don't mind if I live in a tin shed, as long as I can speak Harikatha. He said, I've done everything. I've built temples for my Guru Maharaj, namely Srila Bhakti Dwight Madhav Maharaj. I built temples for other devotees. I've done everything. I've done parikramas, and now my only ambition for the rest of my life is to speak Harikatha, which he did. And this book is one of the results of that. So, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the transfer of the property's ownership to Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math was completed one day before the High Court was to deliberate on the stay order, somehow, mystically. So the next section is how he finally got that place. The first Vyas Puja festival of Srila Prabhupada at his appearance place. Under Guru Maharaj's auspices, a grand festival celebrating the 104th appearance day of Srila Prabhupada was organized to be held at his appearance place on February 28, 1978. A 5-day festival, that's some months after our Prabhupada's disappearance. A 5-day religious conference from 26 February to 2nd March was also organized for the occasion. During the festival, the foundation stone laying ceremony was performed amid tumultuous chants of Sri Nam Sankirtan. Guru Maharaj himself wrote invitation letters to all of his godbrothers, personally requesting them to attend the festival. He wrote, quote, "Kindly grace the occasion with your divine presence and shower your mercy upon us." Upon receiving the invitation from Guru Maharaj, devotees from all walks of life, sannyas, brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, grihasthas, and many distinguished personalities came to take part in the occasion. A few foreign devotees were also in attendance. Were you in attendance?
This is what year?
1978. Oh. Other than Guru Maharaj, those present at the festival, including his constant companions, Sri Srimad Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, Sri Srimad Bhakti Shravan Trivakram Maharaj, Sri Pad Krishna, Sri Srimad Indupati Das Babaji, and there's a stream of others. During the 5-day festival commemorating the Vyas Puja of Srila Prabhupada, various Vaishnavas spoke on his teachings, instructions, statements, conduct, character, and personality from a multitude of viewpoints. During the ongoing sequence of heart-touching narrations, Sri Srimad Bhakti Hridoy Ban Goswami Maharaj, with great eagerness and a heart filled with joy, said to all presents, "Now that we have been bestowed with the opportunity to construct a Gaudiya Math at the appearance place of Srila Prabhupada, all his disciples would be extremely pleased to annually gather here at his birthplace in honor of his appearance day, and at his Samadhi Peeth at Sri Dham Mayapur to honor his disappearance day festival. Of this there is no doubt." Then he's talking about Ujjvala Ras, well, not Ujjvala Ras, which it's already getting late. So Vasanti brought extra copies of this book, and anyone can get one who doesn't already have one, so you can continue his glorification. We have many copies. So at the end of the program, if you see Vasanti Devi Dasi, she'll give you one. another very interesting book that just recently came out by disciples of Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj are Srila Bhakti Dwait Madhav Goswami Maharaj's letters to disciples. So we'll just read one randomly. Dear recipient of my affection, I understand that you are somewhat aggrieved that I call you a svechachari, someone who does as he pleases. How else should I refer to a sadhak who does not abide by the words of a sadhu, scriptures, or guru, and continues to act? Swa means one's own, and achari means behavior. He just does whatever he wants. Whatever the case, as long as you remain my disciple, I have the right to chastise and correct you, do I not? Think about that too. Next time you go preaching, you should inform us beforehand and embark on said preaching excursion only after having received permission. I do not intend for everyone from the Mat to go to Sri Banki Bihari Saha's house and stay there for days. Those in Sri Banki Bihari Saha's family are good people, and there is no doubt they are inclined to serve others. There is still work to be done for the upcoming Sri Navadvipdam Parikrama and the appearance day of Sri Gaur. It is necessary to focus on that. Next to the Mayapur temple, a 10-foot wide walkway will lead to the edge of the pond. The pond will have 2 sets of steps, bathing spots, ghats. One next to the temple. Well, hey, we were there. That's where we were. Well, yeah, it's magnificent there. 2 ponds, Shamakund and Radhakund, that he established there. One next to the temple, and one can be to the south or north side of the pond. We will have to allocate separate bathing areas for men and women. At 8 points around the pond, we have temples dedicated to the 8 Sakis. Just a short one. Dear recipient of my affection. And then he signed it just as our Prabhupada signs his letters, your ever well-wisher or eternal well-wisher. We have not abandoned worldly life and come to the Mat to relax and abide as we please. Oh, same mood. Well, I guess why. It's called affection and reproach. Always keep this in mind. Without tolerance, no 2 entities can live together. Your relentless desire to move from one place, from this place to that place, and only then informing us of it, is simply causing us anxiety. You must become tolerant, maintain your composure, and perform your service in cooperation and unison with everyone else. If you chant a fixed number of Harinam on your mantras, as is standard, then your heart will attain peace and happiness. So he gave him a way out of, you did that, no, you did that. Strive to contemplate Sri Krishna without interruption. Was that Srila Prabhupada or Srila Param Gurudev? 2 brahmacharis were fighting. Param Gurudev? 2 brahmacharis were fighting in the mud. And Gurudev told the story. It's in the Harmony book. And they got into such a fight that they were about to strike each other. They ran out of the kitchen with those big burning sticks. And some disciples went to Param Gurudev and said, Gurudev, your disciples are fighting. Can you do something to stop them? He said, have I told them to fight? I've taught them Trinadapi Sunichena. Let them take this to court. I am not someone who wants to sit in a court. And then our Gurudev said, I also don't want to sit in court, so I don't want to hear one devotee complaining about the other devotee. And then the whole harmony book is about how to respect others, how to not be disturbed when I think I'm being criticized. It's definitely a must read if you haven't read it a few times already. So Srila Bhakti Doit Madhav Goswami Maharaj Abhirbhav Titi Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. So now, today is also the disappearance day. Do you have anything to say about Srila Gorkashore Das Babaji Maharaj?
Just to
Mukunda Prabhu? Or anybody?
come up to the end of his.
I'm sorry?
Just that.
Okay, wait. Microphone, TV screen.
I'd like to also know on when Gorkashore Das Babaji finally accepted Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati as his disciple, he gave him a few items. One of them was a tiger skin hat. Anybody know more about that? The way I heard it, it is also, this is something we've heard about Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj, and he had, during his life, as disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta, he was a one-man GBC. He ran all the activities of, and Prabhupada told me if there was any problem, he'd go in and he'd say, okay, everybody take rest, I'll handle it. And he would handle it. He would fix every problem across India. I would like to know, when did Bhakti Vilas Thakur, when did Bhakti Vilas Tirtha take over as manager from Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj? Because we know the story of Keshav Maharaj was managing all the projects, but I think just, anyway, and
He was
Kanjabhayani was.
Yeah, he was Kunjada before, so he was always helping.
Right. My Prabhupada said, and Bhaktisiddhanta loved him for that. And even, so, it was on the very day, I heard it this way, you'll hear it other ways, but my way is better. Gorkashore Das Babaji had told, when I passed away from my body, like a dog, tie a rope to my leg and drag me through the streets of Navadvip so that people will see what someone with no Krishna bhakti looks like.
Oh my God.
That's the one.
Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
And Bhaktisiddhanta came on the scene because he goes, just like we were talking about how this Bhakti Vilas Tirtha's successor was Jati Maharaj,
Yes.
who obstructed to having others build Bhaktisiddhanta's thing. Similarly, the Goswamis there all wanted to take charge of his body. He said, well, you said drag him through the streets. They wanted to drag him to their place, make a temple so that they would be in charge of a place of pilgrimage and get the money. But Bhaktisiddhanta comes there and says, no, I'm his only disciple. No one can touch him. In fact, I know all of you are corrupt. How many of you have not been with a woman in the last year? You can have him. 1 month. 1 day. See, they couldn't do so slowly. Actually, though, Bhakti Vilas Tirtha was Kunja Babu, a young man in Calcutta who had heard that there's a great sadhu in Navadvip Mayapur. Let's go and see him on that day. And so when he got off the train, came into Navadvip town, he sees this big mob. And Bhaktisiddhanta doing these things. So he was there at that time. So we asked, Prabhupada would describe Bhakti Vilas Tirtha, who he had his son and brother educated in London as barristers so that they could take his secretly. He had put the Yogapith in a trust that he was in control of. So when the other god, after Bhaktisiddhanta passed on, the other god brothers came and said, well, we want to build temples and have parikrama of our disciples. And then he said, more or less, get off my land. Still, so someone asked Prabhupada Prabhupada, probably others, where is he now? And Prabhupada said, no service to Krishna is ever lost. So he seems like the villain in all this, but it's not really. And really. So, these things that go on here.
Yeah, actually we don't understand sometimes why things happen and why who is put in a role to do what to glorify another devotee. So being, as Prabhu indicated, being free from criticism, even hearing these things, saves us from losing our bhakti.
Prabhupada was once telling us about some evil thing that some godbrothers had done to him and others, and one of the, it wasn't me, but it was some sannyasi at that time said, oh, he's a rascal, he said, you cannot say that. I can say that, you cannot say that.
Thank you. So, what did Prabhupada do then when no one else was qualified to touch his Guru Maharaj's body? He took him very reverentially, brought his divine body on a train to Mayapur, right, and gave him samadhi there. So now we're going to read about this samadhi place. Does anybody else want to say any glorification of him? You have something?
Maybe just summarize to that.
Where did he leave his body?
Where did he leave? I don't know.
You said he took a train.
He was already
Oh,
there.
He
from
was already there.
He was already there in
in Mayapur, they just took a train to the place. So Srila Gorgashu, you want to say something, Mukunda?
No, I think anybody said, I think they just took
They
the
were
bus.
just-
They don't think-
Didn't have to train
Oh, you don't
because
need to
they
take a
were right
train.
there already.
He just took his divine body
Across the river.
across wherever. Took a boat or
Yeah. Well, I was
Whatever
going
you
to
have to say.
summarize,
Thank you.
summarize to that point, so it would be.
okay.
TV?
Press the button.
Haribol? No, it's not there. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So just quickly summarize to the point of the samadhi, that way it will be complete. Srila Gokshana Babaji Maharaj, I have to do by memory because I didn't read so much when I was reading other things, but I know that he was formerly a grahasta. It's usually that he was a grahasta, and I think they had a farm. He was actually in a farming community, and he had a farm. I believe it was a corn farm, so to speak, and he lived a very pious life along with his wife. It was after his wife passed away that he always had a tendency towards doing Braj Bhakti and wanting very deeply to become involved in bhajan, but he didn't leave his wife or family. So not until his wife passed away, and after that point he came to Braj, and he took shelter of Bhagavat Das Babaji Maharaj, who was a disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. And it was the same Bhagavat Das Babaji who had told Bhakti Vinod Thakur to take Diksha from Dipin Bihari Goswami. So Bhagavat Das Babaji was actually the prominent Babaji at that time. He was a direct disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji. So after taking shelter of Bhagavat Das Babaji, he stayed there in Braj doing bhajan in all the various Leela stands of Braj for many, many, many years. One of the things that was very noticed about him was that his tapasya was incredible. He would eat very little, he would sleep very little, he was always deeply engaged in bhajan life, and people used to say that he was not educated, but here not educated means there was no formal, like he didn't go to formal schools and all these sort of things, but he was extremely educated in Bhakti Sastra and all these things. He did not write very much anything, one bhajan, he used to recite all the time, but he did not write a lot of books or anything like that. When he was doing bhajan in Braj for many, many years, he was so strict that he would actually tell people they should be very careful, because if you do Madhukari in Braj, Brijabasis are so kind and sweet, they give you so many things for your eating, but he would not eat like that. He would say you have to be very careful. So he would eat so little, and at one point, in the depth of his bhajan, he was even eating the clay from Radhakund, because he was not making any differentiation between prasad being, Krishna's mercy literally, and being foodstuffs in the form of grains, etc., etc. It describes that after some time doing bhajan and braj in so many places, he began to deeply contemplate that braj, bhajan, is a really high class of thing, and perhaps I'm not qualified. So I should go to Navadvip Dham, where the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu is so prominent. And by getting the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, I can become eligible for braj bhajan. He was already doing so high class, but this was the danya bhav, or humility, that came in him. So then he went to Navadvip Dham, and he was doing bhajan there very, very deeply. Of course, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he always had association with Gokul Babaji Maharaj. In fact, Gokul Babaji Maharaj used to come and hear from Bhakti Vinod Thakur regularly. Bhakti Vinod Thakur had a huge organization, pretty much a huge sangha, so to speak, and Gokul Babaji Maharaj would regularly come there. After giving Bhakti Saraswati Thakur Harinam, he did not want to give Diksha because it was normally the custom that the father does not give Diksha to the son. So he recommended that he would go to Gokul Babaji. I think it was Bhagavat Das Babaji Maharaj actually who recommended to Bhakti Vinod Thakur that his son should go to Gokul Babaji Maharaj to take initiation. But the problem was that Gokul Babaji Maharaj had no disciples, had no desire to make any disciples. So when Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur approached him, again being overwhelmed in humility, he thought Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, such a high class of scholar, the son of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, very aristocratic family, so to speak, that no, I should not give initiation. At the insistence, making a long story short, of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, then he said, okay, well, let me ask my Sachinandan Gaurahari, I believe he said, let me ask, and then I'll get back to you on that. So some time went on, and this went on for some time. So, oh, I forgot to ask today. I was so busy, so forth, so on. So this went on for some time. But then seeing that Bhakti Saraswati Thakur's determination was do or die, he actually told him, if I cannot receive, what is the point of my living? Because Bhakti Saraswati Thakur had already accepted Srila Gokul Babaji Maharaj in his heart. So the formality of receiving Diksha was either I have it or I die, because then I have no other option. In fact, I remember, I don't want to deviate from the story, but I remember during the time when some difficulty came about with ISKCON, so to speak, and Srila Gurudev, there came a recommendation at one point that we all had relationship with Srila Gogovind Maharaj. By that time, maybe it was 91 or 92, I was already writing to Gurudev and getting back these blue aerograms, letter things. So there was a discussion among myself, who's now Pujapat Shanta Maharaj, Ishwara, few devotees. We were all hearing from Gurudev at that time. And after we had gotten the tapes of Lalita Sakhi's husband, who he never got him back. Anyway, so by this time, the idea came up, well, we could save our status in ISKCON because all of us were working with Srila Bhakti Maharaj pretty closely, and we were all traveling with him, giving classes. Maybe we'd save our status if we took from Srila Govinda Maharaj instead, because the controversy had now arisen. And I remember talking to Shanta Maharaj and to Ishwara and telling him, for me, I have my own job, my own house, everything, and my heart is already sold. I don't care what they do. And I remember Shanta Maharaj, who was Maharaj at that time, said, me also. And Ishwara said, and he didn't say it, but anyways, later he came. But anyway, Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, he had this mood, do or die. I've already accepted in my heart Srila Gokul Babaji Maharaj. So having this mood and Gokul Babaji Maharaj observing this, just like in the case of Narottam and Lokanath, he was obliged by the love of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur to oblige. So he took one and one only disciple, Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, at that time. He wasn't Bhakti Saraswati at that time, but he took him as his disciple, and it was the only disciple that he ever took. Of course, then he spent the rest of his life there in Navadvip Dham, always in Sangha, and doing very, very deep bhajan. And many times people would come to him to try to get blessings. And he would say, my only blessing to you is that you should give up your material life and become engaged in bhajan. One gentleman in particular came all the way from Agra, and this gentleman came, and he had recently become married, I believe, and he came in and he, showing he'd recently become married. He said, oh, so you should see your wife as Krishna Dasi. Therefore, she should pay obeisances to you as is Vedic custom, but Also, you should pay your obeisances to her because she's Krishna Dasi. And now having recognized this Krishna Dasi, you should never try to enjoy it. So, and another time, one other person came there and begged for his mercy. And the person was very insistent. Oh, Baba, please give me your mercy. Please give me mercy. So he took one kopin and handed him the kopin and said, here is my mercy if you really want it. And the person, of course, got up and ran very far away very quickly. Also, the local king wanted to build a proper bhajan kuti for him because he would stay in all kinds of little places. And finally, there was one dharmashal that had a latrine, bathrooms. So he went to that place and he locked himself in those bathrooms and was doing bhajan in there. And nobody can say whether he came out or not because if he did, it was only very late at night. So everybody was very upset by this. They appealed, we should try to help. So the local leader wanted to actually build a proper bhajan kuti for him, but he wouldn't do it because he would not have any association with any materialist. Once a king had invited him to come and to meet with him, and he said, no, if I go there, I will then again become attracted to wealth and riches and so forth, or I will tell the king, you should give up your nonsense, wealth, and riches, and this way we'll become contentious to each other. So I don't see any good coming out of this going to see the king. So in a similar way, when they wanted to build him a proper darshan, he did not want to accept. He would make many excuses why he could not come out of the latrine. Oh, I've fallen, and I'm having a difficult time getting up. No, everything is fine here. At other times he would say. So in this way, gradually, he went on doing bhajan like this. And then finally, in his later ages, coming near time for his samadhi, the Leela that Didi's about to read took place.
I don't know what's a Leela. I think Prabhu already told.
Anyway, let's see what it is. I don't even know what it's going to be. Vasanti, while I'm reading, could you kindly find the place where Gurudev talks about his Gurudev meeting Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj? Thanks. So, Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj's Samadhi. This is his Samadhi Mandir. And we can all fall at his feet, take the dust of his feet on our head, our eyelids, our tongue, and our hearts, and pray for his mercy that he will give us pure bhajan, as we heard in his song that you all sang so beautifully earlier. Kotai go, premamayi radhi radhi. Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was the initiating spiritual master of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He used to reside in Braj at the various places of Sri Krishna's pastimes, such as Vrindavan, Govardhan, Radhakund, Shamakund, Suryakund, and Nandagaon. And he did his bhajan there while practicing severe renunciation. You heard something of that from Mukunda Prabhu. He then went to Navadvip Dham, where he performed bhajan in a mood of great separation for Sri Krishna. What's his pranam mantra? Namo Gorkishoraya Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye Viplavam Vada Sambodhe Padambo Jayate Namaha. So I offer my obeisances. Namaha also means myself, to Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who is the embodiment of renunciation and the embodiment of the ecstasy of separation from Radha and Krishna. To escape the association of materialists, sense enjoyers, he hid, as Mukunda Prabhu just mentioned, in an abandoned latrine built by the municipality of Navadvip. He did not open the door for anyone. Well, here's the story here. Not even for the district judge and police superintendent who came to see him. But he did open it for our most worshipful spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. At that time, he was Vinod Bihari, brahmachari. Recognizing him as a recipient of the mercy of Srila Saraswati Thakur, he opened the door with great affection. You know, he would always say, "Who are you?" And then he said, "I'm a disciple of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur." Immediately he opened the door. He opened the door with great affection, gave his darshan, and instructed him to perform pure bhajan. I think there's more to that, Vasanti, that in Gurudev's lecture. What I'm telling, there's more details in Gurudev's lecture. Do you have that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear because I was finding workshop about Parmgurudev's darshan.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I got it here.
Okay.
I got it here from his biography.
Okay.
From Parmgurudev's biography.
All right.
You want to
You want me to read now?
Yeah, Mike, because that's where exactly where we are in the story.
Okay.
Mike, TV.
So, this is my Gurudev's biography about his Gurudev, Bhakti-Vigyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. He says, in those days, Srila Gaura Babaji Maharaj was renowned throughout Braj Mandal, Gauda Mandal, and Kshetra Mandal as a Siddha Babaji. He had appeared in the village of East Bengal. After his wife died, he left family life and went to Sridham Vrindavan to perform Bhagavad Bhajan. There at Suryakund, he began to perform Sadhan Bhajan, adopting strict renunciation, and would hear Hari Katha in the association of Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, a disciple of Sri Madhusudan Das Babaji. Srila Gaura Babaji Maharaj's renunciation was so severe that from time to time, when he felt hungry, he would eat mud from Sri Radhakund or the Jamuna. As a result, he became blind. Like the 6 Goswamis, he would reside in one place for only a few days: Radhakund, Sridham Vrindavan, Varshana, Nandagram, Bandiravan, or any of the other places associated with Krishna's pastimes. He lamented intensely in feelings of great separation from Srimati Radhika would sing in a loud voice, Kotai ko premai Radhe Radhe. And then the whole song is there. When he could no longer tolerate the separation from his worshipful deity, Srimati Radhika, he left Sridham Vrindavan for Sridham Navadvip. Should I skip a little of this?
Go to the,
Yeah. So the whole section, it said the meeting with, so I guess it's just giving,
yeah.
okay. Okay, here. On one occasion, Srila Babaji Maharaj, weary of materialistic people, locked himself in the latrine of a public dharmashala, rest house in Pulia. He began to perform bhajan. He found this stinking place conducive for bhajan, as he preferred the stench of the toilet to the bad association of materialists. People wondered where Babaji had gone. After 2 or 3 days, the sweeper woman arrived. As she was cleaning the stool underneath the latrine, she heard a tender voice filled with intense longing, chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Glancing upward, she was astonished to see Srila Babaji Maharaj, fully absorbed in chanting Harinam. He was not aware of his body or of the bad smell. The superwoman immediately told the chairman of the municipality, and the news soon reached the ears of the district authorities, the police superintendent and others. Everyone came to Babaji Maharaj and repeatedly requested him to open the door of the latrine and come out. Babaji Maharaj, they pleaded, we have arranged a bhajan kutir for you on the banks of Bhagavati Ganga. Please stay there and perform bhajan. But Babaji Maharaj did not pay any attention to their talk and went on with his ceaseless chanting of the holy names. To the incessant request of the high officials, Srila Babaji Maharaj only replied in a feeble voice, I am ill and am not able to open the door. The defeated officials finally left. A short time later, on Srila Prabhupada's instruction, Shri Vinod Bihari Brahmachari came from Mayapur with Sri Sarojini Devi, Priyatama Devi, and Shri Gaur Govinda Vijabhusan. Oh, can I have a little tangent for a second? Because soon the harmonist Sevaks have just translated letters from our Param Gurudev, and when I was in India before Kartik, one devotee, Sri Vasprabhu, he was translating a 200-verse poem from Sarojini Devi, and he said it was just about Paramgirde. And when I just saw her name here, he said it is. So, he was in such bliss. He was like, he said it's so amazing. Anyway, some are coming. Some will be arriving in Alachua on Thursday night. So next Sunday program, if you want one, we will have. We'll have about maybe 10 or 15. So let me know. Okay. So where are we? So yeah, they went. And Shri Gaur Govinda Vijayabusan, later Chidandi Swami Shri Srimad Bhakti Vilas Gavastinimi Maharaj, to have the darshan of Srila Babaji Maharaj. However, despite their repeated requests, Srila Babaji Maharaj still gave the same excuse and would not open the door. Shri Gaur Govinda Prabhu then said in a very humble voice, Babaji Maharaj, Srila Saraswati Thakur mercifully accepted us as his disciples. We have come here on his instruction in the great hope of having your darshan. We will be very disheartened if we cannot obtain it. When he heard this, Srila Babaji Maharaj became happy and replied with great affection, You are the object of Saraswati Thakur's grace. Come in. Then he quickly opened the door. They saw that he was completely absorbed in chanting his Harinam on a mala made of a knotted cloth. Srila Babaji Maharaj observed Sri Vinod Vihari Brahmachari's extremely beautiful youthful form, his sincere desire to perform bhajan, his sprouting yukta vairagya, appropriate renunciation, and above all, his firm faith in his spiritual master, Guru Nishta. Srila Babaji Maharaj blessed him, saying, I've taken away all disasters and obstacles from your life. Fearlessly you should perform bhajan and spread the words of Sriman Mahaprabhu all over the world. Hearing this blessing, Sri Vinod Vihari's eyes overflowed with tears. Falling at Babaji Maharaj's lotus feet, he took his foot dust on his head. After hearing Hari Katha for some time and worshipping Babaji Maharaj's lotus feet, they departed for Sri Mayapur. Years later, when Srila Guru Padma told us about Srila Babaji Maharaj's blessings, he became restless like a child and started to cry, saying, By the causeless mercy of Srila Babaji Maharaj, we are today fearlessly preaching Shuddha Bhakti throughout the world. In the course of our preaching, we have met with great hardship and countless obstacles, and even our lives have been endangered. But by the mercy of Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj, our strength never diminished, and the clouds of hardship were quickly dispelled.
Amazing. Thank you. So due to strong renunciation, he became fully blind externally, as you heard from Mukunda Prabhu. Nonetheless, he daily crossed the Ganga while loudly chanting. He's blind and he's daily crossing the Ganga. While loudly chanting the holy name to go to Swananda Sukhada Kunj in Godrum to hear Hari Katha from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He left this world on Uttan Ekadasi, November 17th, 1915. That's today. Ekadasi, Uttan Ekadasi. With his own hands, Srila Saraswati Thakur placed his spiritual master in Samadhi. In Nutan Chada, in the ancient Kulia, present Navadvip town, in accordance with the prescribed rules of the Sanskar Deepika, that's by following the rules of the Sanskar Deepika, I think by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada performed this Samadhi ceremony of Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj. After some time, the Ganga flooded. Fearing that she, Ganga, would wash away the samadhi of his spiritual master, Srila Saraswati Thakur moved it, re-establishing it on the bank of Radhakund at Chaitanya Mat. So again, this is his Samadhi Mandir, and it's at Chaitanya Mat. We say Agara Mat Sri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. That's this place, the first original Mat, and then all the other Mats expand from that. And here also, where we are now, in Sri Chaitanya Mat, is Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi Mandir. And here is, we're zooming out now, as we're walking out from having fallen at the feet of Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj and taken his foot dust. Now moving outwards, out from that his Samadhi Mandir. This is what it looks like. It's a little zoomed out. And then this is Sri Radhakund. That is Srila Prabhupada at this Sri Chaitanya Mutt, the Akara Mutt, or the first Mutt. He established Radhakund, Shamakund, and also Giriraj Govardhan. So you could take darshan of all of them. And Achman here. Let's take Achman. Taking the water on our head, eyelids, heart, and tongue. And can we take a dip? Let's take a dip. 1, 2, 3, and we're out. Huh?
Part of the understanding.
Wait. There's a condition before you speak.
There was a king, Balal Sen, who had his mansion palace there on Mayapur, on Tartwee. Fearing attack, he buried it. It's believed that he was inside with his family and they died in there, and the ghosts are there. He also dug a deep pond, and Mahaprabhu saw this pond and this buried palace as a hill, and he thought that was, went into divine vision, and saw it as Radhakund and Jamuna and Govardhan Hill. Now, factors that Mahaprabhu's birthplace is there in Mayapur, not where the other Smarta Goswami said was in Navadvip side. Because it's called Balal Dipi, was the lake, and Balal Digi is the hill. So from that, that's one of the evidences that Mahaprabhu's birthplace is there.
In Mayapur, and Mahaprabhu recognized Shamakund and Radhakund, and then Srila Prabhupada brought the same manifestations of Shamakund and Radhakund to this place, Akara Mutt, Sri Chaitanya Mutt. So what's the connection then between the place of Mahaprabhu's birth, and is there a connection between that and this Radhakund, Shamakund that I was just showing?
From the, it's in Chaitanya Bhagavat that Mahaprabhu one time saw this hill on somewhere in the 9 islands, and this pond, and saw it as Govardhan and Radhakund or Jamuna, and was in ecstasy there. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur took this as one of the legal evidences that Mahaprabhu's birthplace is there.
I'm just asking, what does this have to do with this place in Mayapur, Akara Chaitanya Mutt?
Balal Digi and Balal Dipi, that hill is on Mayapur.
Is what?
It's in Mayapur.
It's actually Balal Digi
Yeah.
and Balal Dipi are exactly right next door to this Sri Chaitanya Mutt. That's the connection.
Yes.
Thank you. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, looking at the maps, looking at Chaitanya Bhagavat, as Prabhu just mentioned, and having visions in trance of Nityananda Prabhu taking Jiva Goswami on parikrama and showing this is Balal Digi, this is this place, that place, this is Mahaprabhu's birthplace. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur got that confirmed by Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, that yes, this is his birthplace. And so that's his birthplace, Mahaprabhu's birthplace is Where? Is that the same Akaramat? No. Where's Mahaprabhu's birthplace? That's the Yoga Peeth, which is also very close to this Akaramat, Sri Chaitanya Mat. And Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, had established all those mutts to commemorate those places. Did I get that right?
Well, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was
Wait.
magistrate.
I know, but you're being live streamed all over the world. That's why you need the mic.
Hello world, we are the world. Just that Bhaktivinoda Thakur used these two, the pond and the hill, as evidence, legal evidence in his case that this is the actual birthplace of Mahaprabhu, not in Navadvip where the Goswamis.
Yes.
Not in
They say
Navadvip.
they have a 500-year-old neem tree in Navadvip site. It's obviously maybe 80 years old. It's not 500 years. And in that temple, even the Navadvip, so-called, what they call it, Prachin Mayapur, they call it, ancient Mayapur. They claim, in the temple, there was, you come into the temple and there's a turnstile like in a subway. You had to pay to get through. They wouldn't let you through. So that's business, and that's why they also wanted to take possession of Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji's spiritual body.
Thank you. You can see that Achyutananda Prabhu was a staunch follower of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the Bhaktivinoda Dhara, his line of conception and followers. Just one more sentence here. This is Swananda Sukata Kunj in Godrun. Towards the eastern side of Godrun, on the bank of the Saraswati, lies Swananda Sukata Kunj, where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur built a hut and performed his bhajan. In the corner of this grove is the bhajan kuti of Srila Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, the crest jewel among Avadutas, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's intimate friend. So this is the place where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, one of the places where they met and discussed Harikatha. So Srila Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Tariya Tirubhav Titi Maha Mahotsav ki jai, Maha Mahotsav ki jai, Maha Mahotsav ki jai. So Mukunda Prabhu is going to tell us something about Bhishma Panchaka, starting today and continuing. Yes, Prabhu.
It is like our elections. In America, our elections are in November, we just had one, and the inauguration is in January. So in those 6 weeks, the outgoing party has to give all of their information to the incoming, whether they like it, even if they're sworn enemies. The new president has to know everything about the previous administration. Similarly, when as Bhishma is passing away, this is what's going on. The Kauravas are out, the Pandavas have come in, and except here, Bhishma Dev has to give the state of dharma in the world to the incoming new regime.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So Bhishma Panchak is the last 5 days of Kartik Mas, and it goes from the Uttani Kadasi today, or Apanaharani Kadasi is also called, until the Purnima, and then pizza. Besides that, the most important part of these 5 days is it also corresponds to the last 5 days of the life of Mahajan Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev, after the Battle of Kurukshetra for 58 days, he laid on a bed of arrows at Kurukshetra. So there were obviously so many kings and so many great warriors who were strewn of the field of Kurukshetra during that time. During that time, Maharaj Yudhisthira began to contemplate in great sorrow all the events that had transpired. Having become overwhelmed by that sadness due to so many great warriors, relatives, kings, and others being killed, he was somewhat bewildered about, well, what should my duty be? Because now we're inheriting so-called kingdom, but so many, as Arjuna spoke in Bhagavad Gita, of those we love, those who are very near and dear, have all been killed. So what is the point? And what is my duty at this point? For that reason, on that battlefield, they searched out Bhishma Pitamaha, knowing him to be a Mahajan. So when they finally found Bhishma Dev on the bed of arrows, Bhishma Dev had sealed up his own wounds because he had this kind of incredible mystic Shakti. Not going back into the history of Bhishma Dev because it would take too long, but because he was so powerful, he was originally one Vasu. There were 8 Vasus. There's a long story about the attempt to steal a Kamadena. I'm not going through the whole thing, but long story short, he was also the son of Ganga Devi. And when Maharaj Santanu wanted to marry again, they feared that the son of that person, Bhishma Dev, would get the throne. So to promise to the promised wife of Maharaj Santanu that he would have nothing to do with the throne, he took a vow of celibacy by which he became known as Deva Brata. Deva Brata means he took such a strong vow, even the demigods in heaven were astonished by this vow because he was such a strong, young, valiant, and also Kshatriya. Nature of Kshatriya, not only you can have one wife, you can have more than one wife. So to take such a vow was a very, very extreme thing. So because of this kind of power, this is also to demonstrate the power of brahmacharya for one, and also to demonstrate the power of making a commitment to Dharma. Then he became empowered that he could leave this world at his own desired time. So he chose to leave during when the sun starts heading towards the north. So he waited for 58 days total, 53 of which he laid there in the bed of arrows the last 5 days. Then Maharaj Yudhisthira shows up, but not only Maharaj Yudhisthira, but Maharaj Yudhisthira, so many rishis, sages, including Vyas, so many thousands of people actually showed up there to hear from Bhishma Dev. That's why he's also called a Mahajan. There's 12 Mahajans, Swayambhu, Nara, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Pralado, Janako, Bhishmo, Bali, Vyasiki, Vayam. So Yamaraj himself is telling there are 11 other people besides myself who are considered Mahajans. So why do we consider them Mahajans, especially if we're involved in the pursuit of Radha Dasyam in Braj Bhakti? Why are these 12 people Mahajans for us? So Bhishma Dev becomes one example of why. If you studied history of all, you'll see something very similar. But Bhishma Dev, when he was laying there on the battle, the first thing he did was to comfort Maharaj Yudhisthira by telling him, listen, all the things that have happened, they've happened due to the arrangement of God. This was no one's fault. Don't think it was the fault of politics. Don't think it was the fault of a desire to have a kingdom. Don't even think it was the fault of Duryodhana. But understand that this was all due to the desire of the Lord. That very Lord is standing right here with you as your very, very dear friend, even now. Then he began to tell him what his duty should be. This takes up all of about 3 or 4 verses. So the entire chapter, which is supposed to be Raj Nidhi, the Raj Nidhi part means instructions on how to be a king, is all of about 4 or 5 verses. After that, Bhishma Dev begins to explain his deep meditations in leaving this world on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. First acknowledging Krishna as that very deity he worshipped, because at that time they did not worship the deity of Krishna, but he worshipped the deity of Narayan. So he says that that very Narayan, Thakurji, that I was worshipping, he's now present right before me, standing, looking me in the face. Then he says, but that Narayan that I was worshipping, how fortunate are you that that very Narayan became the very dear friend of your family. He became such a nature that after having met the Brijabasis at Kurukshetra and actually having been addressed by Shrimati Radhika, because the verse, Ai Dina Dayadranata Manturanata Karavalokshaya, this verse was recited by Radhika at Kurukshetra. Because when she saw Krishna coming before her after leaving the Sabha, when he heard Brijabasis had come, he began to run towards the Brijabasis. All of his royal garments had fallen off. But when he appeared before the Brijabasis, all the servants came back and they started redressing him right in front of all the Brijabasis. So the gopis in the distance, they could see, oh, before he was Ai Dinanath means he was so, Dina Dayadranath means he was so kind to those who were in a desperate condition due to separation in Braj. And he would reappear before us. But now, Mathura Nata Kalabalokshay, now I'm seeing, oh, now he's a king. And a king has so many duties, he may not have time for the way he treated us previously. Understand? So she recited this, was Krishna took this to heart. So actually when Krishna was approached by Duryodhana and Arjuna about fighting, he said, well, one of you can have my army, one of you can have me. But I will not fight. Why? Because messengers used to go back and forth between Dwarka and Braj, and they would give reports. So when Krishna wanted the messengers to go back and report, they didn't want the messengers going back and say, yes, he's acting even more like a king. He's actually being engaged in warfare, making plans. But what did he do? He became the chariot driver of Arjuna. And just like a limousine driver in this world, you don't just drive the car. You have to take care of it. You have to put gas in it. You have to clean the car. You have to do all the maintenance of the car. So Krishna similarly took that position in relation to Arjuna. Not only was he taking care of the chariot of Arjuna, but he was taking care of the horses. But once one messenger came there, and they saw that he was rubbing the neck of one of the horses. And those horses, they have a face like some of Krishna's cows. Krishna had different groups of cows, 108 groups of cows. One group of cows was known by the shape of their faces. So one group was called Mridangamukis. It means their faces were shaped like mridangas, similar to a face of a horse. So Krishna was rubbing the neck of that horse and saying, oh, Mridangamuki, you've changed so much. You've gotten so big, but you're also very skinny. Right? So he was talking, so messengers would go back and they tell Brijabasis, this is how Krishna is living now. Reassuring them, no, he's not become like a king anymore. But he's still absorbed in thinking of you. Like this. So when Bhishma Dev was talking to Yudhishthira Maharaj about how fortunate they were, he was telling them, this is why you're so fortunate. But then a doubt could come. How could Bhishma Pitamaha, first of all, you're fighting on the wrong side of the war, everything. How do you know so much about what is the nature of Krishna and his Braj and all these things? Then he tells, no, if you don't think I know, listen. I know that Arjuna, when you came to the battlefield, how you became completely perplexed by being on this battlefield, and how Krishna personally consoled you. Because first, they didn't understand, but why did Bhishma fight on the other side? One reason was given, because he was taking foodstuffs in the house of Duryodhana. That time his mind became some polluted by grains. But if we accept that, then we're saying that even pure devotees who are our Mahajans can become polluted simply because they ate out a couple of nights. You understand? So we cannot say like this. So why did Bhishma Dev fight on the other side? It's a question. If Bhishma...
So that Arjuna could, so that Bhishma could see Krishna?
So that Bhishma could see Krishna, but not only that, but if Bhishma had not fought on the other side, there'd be no battle of Kurukshetra. The enthusiasm and the confidence that the Kauravas had was because Bhishma was on their side. Because of this, then Krishna's mission would not have been completed. Krishna had 4 categories of ridding the burden of the earth. 1, those demons who were blessed by sadhus, they were killed in Braj. Agasura, Putana, they were all blessed or had some circumstances under which they were blessed. They were killed directly in Braj. Second category is Jarasandh, others, Salva, all who were killed outside of Braj. Third burden was all of the kings of the earth. That included the Kauravas and Pandavas. So, the Kauravas, he would take care of all of the other kings by the battle of Kurukshetra. But the battle couldn't take place unless the power of confidence was there. We have the greatest warrior of all time on our side, Bhishma Dev. So if he had not done that, which is a very difficult service to do, it would have never happened. So Krishna's reward to him was to allow him to have Sudarshan not only on the battlefield, so he could taste Veer Ras but also was to give him darshan of his intimate conversation of catharsis with Arjuna when Arjuna became bewildered. Arjuna's bewilderment was because of his taratmik bhav with Krishna, because they were so, he tells literally, I'm telling you this most confidential thing because you're my very dear.
Right.
Their hearts were so close that Krishna was going to give catharsis to Arjuna about his separation mood that he felt coming back to Kurukshetra after he had met Brijavasis there and was unable to go back to Braj. So when Krishna pulled up to that place, how is it possible that Krishna could pull up in the Kurukshetra where you last saw Brijavasis and think, okay, let's get the war on, no hearts, get the arrows going, let's go. No way. He pulled up in that place and he remembered immediately, the last place I saw Nanda and Yashoda, the last place I saw Radhika and Gopis. Cowherd boys did not come because cowherd boys, a sporty for them is good enough, so they stayed to watch Braj. Right? So in this place, Krishna's heart became overwhelmed because Arjuna is taratmik with Krishna, he became overwhelmed. That's why Krishna sarcastically said, how have these impurities come upon you? You fought all over the world. You fought so many different people. But now all of a sudden, in the greatest battle, this is the Super Bowl of wars, now you don't want to fight? So that would be irrational. So here Krishna is saying, these impurities came because from my heart they're coming to yours. This is why I can offer in confidence to you like I would do with Uddhava. I can tell you in confidence of my catharsis of separation. So Bhishma Dev, being a Mahajan, he understood the conversation as Sarva Guyatam Katha to Arjuna. Bhishma Dev was there and he heard what Krishna was saying.
So Krishna was saying that, but it didn't get recorded in the Gita?
No, it is
Is that what you're
recorded.
saying?
What?
Well, we didn't hear about Krishna's separation from the gopis in the Gita.
Sure. Param Gurudev spoke it. Gita Upanishad, Sava Upanishad Ghavo, Dugdha Nandana Gopala, Partha Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta, Dugdha Gita Mitam Mahad. That Arjuna was used, Vatsa means a calf. Param Gurudev writes beautiful articles, so I'll give you a note. He wrote that he used Arjuna like a calf to milk the nectar of his heart. So what is the nectar of Krishna's heart? Gurudev told many times, deep separation from Braj.
I mean, we just didn't get it in our Gita because Gita is very short. We don't see it in our Bhagavad Gita.
And Bhagavad Gita is there in Sarvaguyatam Katha.
Srila Sridhar Maharaj's.
He also, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary, he mentions it in his own commentary.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that it was hinted at in our physical book of Gita, but the whole long discussion is not privy.
Oh,
we're
no,
not
no, no.
privy
It's
to
hinted
it.
at by our tribe. Srila Param
That's
Gurudev,
the
Srila
question.
Sridhar Maharaj, others have mentioned this fact.
Prabhupada noted that in Gita, just as in Prahlad Charit, that Krishna is called Govinda. And Prabhupada once mentioned, maybe you were there, he said, "What? They're on the battlefield. Why is he calling him by, like by his cowherd title? What is the purpose of, what is the need of him being called Govinda?" Yeah.
Also, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj is given the references from Padma Purana. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'll get those verses before we leave Ashram. So now, on the battlefield, Bhishma Dev is hearing the Sarvaguyatam Katha. Guru Dev has said Bhagavad Gita can be Samanyan, Upa. More confidential. What is the difference between the body and the soul? It can be Guyatar. Oh, what is Bhakti towards Krishna? This is Guyatar, more confidential. What is Krishna's catharsis from gopis? Or what is Krishna's feeling from gopis? So Savaguyatam Katha, in one chapter he tells him, Savaguyatam Bruham. I'm telling you these most confidential knowledge. He tells this to Arjuna, right? So Bhishma Dev heard all these things. So how do we know this? Because then he goes on to say, this very person became your friend. This very person satisfied my desire on the battlefield by breaking his promise. Even though he promised not to fight, to show what is the nature of love, what is the nature of praying. He broke his promise and picked up a wheel and charged at me. And then he gives something that's a very amazing hint. While he was charging at me, who knows what happened? He says that his
Utteriya, was it fell off? Or?
Fell off. So he took note of this detail. Why? Because in the same way, Bhishma Dev and others were there at Kurukshetra when the Brijabasis showed up. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Sarita Darshan, he tells this. He gives a sequence knowing that the Surya Grahan, solar eclipse, took place before the battle. And he mentions that all these people were there. So they witnessed Krishna's dealing with Brijabasis then. Bhishma Dev took note. Krishna's running so fast, anybody, in a royal thing, you don't leave your clothes and crowns and everything. It's a very sacred thing, the royal dress. But Krishna just ran and threw everything. He said in the same way, when he was breaking his promise, and also in Dharma, for a king to make a promise, I will not fight, then all of a sudden you pick up a wheel, not even a regular weapon, and you charge at me with an intent to kill. So he's showing how much love and affection Krishna had, not only for the Pandavas, but now he's showing me the same love and affection. So he was remembering this. But then he said, after that, also, he is so much of a friend to you that when you brought your chariot out in the middle, it was by his glance that he already had settled the entire battle. He didn't wait for a battle to take place. By looking out across, when he looked out, he took the life out of all the millions and millions of soldiers who had gathered there. Then he said, what is this verse?
You'll be the instrument?
No, not this verse. The next verse he recited was Lalita Gati Falguhasa Pranaya Narikshana Kalpita Uramanaha Kritavatya Kritamano Unmara Anandha Prakriti Magan Akila Yasya Gopavadvaha. Gopavadvaha means plural for all the gopis. I remember, and we have to assess, when did you remember this? Because when were you in Braj? I remember that when the gopis, when Radhika left, and then you left the rasa dance, how all the gopis began to look and search for you. So where would Bhishma Dev get this from? When do we read that he had gone to Braj? How can you remember that you saw what the gopis did? Right? So, our Acharya said, it says here, Kalpita Urumanaha. Urumanaha means extreme glorification. Kalpita could mean imagination, like Kalpana. But he says here, Bhishma Dev cannot have imagination like that. So it says, it came into his heart and mind, Kalpita, through Urumanaha, the glorifications that he heard about the gopis. So that means he heard in the Katha that was being recited, not only because when was also with Krishna somewhere where he heard this conversation of Uddhava anything? Nowhere. Where did he hear it? He heard it on the battlefield. Through that Savaguyitam Katha. Because where else did he hear it? At Kurukshetra, it was pretty private. He never heard Krishna talking to Uddhava. Bhishma Dev did not live with Krishna. So when did he hear Urumanaha, the extreme glorifications of this kind of love between Krishna and gopis? He ascertained it from the talk at Kurukshetra.
So you're saying that Bhagavad Gita has so much more ras than we see on the pages.
Way more.
And so our commentators, our acharyas, by their commentaries, tell us what hasn't been written externally for us
Yes.
in our books.
Yes. Like, have we written the name of Radhika on Srimad Bhagavatam? How is Radha Das in the conclusion of Bhagavatam?
Our commentators.
They reveal it's everywhere written. But we don't see every verse. Every word Bhakti means Bhakti Devi, who's Radhika. So the acharyas have to reveal that. So in the same way, we don't have a history where Bhishma Dev heard. But the verse says, Kalpita Urumanaha. So in his mind, in his heart, because it's not his imagination, Urumanaha, he heard this.
Where did you say this verse of Kalpita?
This is
1940.
1940. You can look in there, you'll see the verse, 1940. So now,
So this was all in the 5 days, and that's the connection.
this is the last 5 days with Bhishma Pandit. That's why it's so. Yes. Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
like,
Fine.
I don't know if that was what your plan was, but it would be cool if it was.
Yeah. All right. So maybe
That would
look
be
at
great.
that.
It's so deep. It's so
Yeah.
profound.
So,
I just want to ask you, because you're being watched by the planet, not right now, China, Mexico, everywhere. So, can you please tell the audience what are the references that you quoted, just names, for all this profound discussion?
The Sa'artha Darshini of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. The main sources we originally found for this, because when we were doing our little travel group, we were looking these things up. There's an article called Atma Nivedanam. It is on bvml.org or bvmlu, which was written by Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pradhan Kesha Goswami Maharaj, where he quotes the verse of Gita Upanishad and explains that the speaker of Bhagavad Gita is not Vasudeva Krishna, but is Vrajendra Nandan Krishna. The other parts were from Gurudev's description of Krishna's suffering while he was in Dwarka, how he would suffer separation. The other part is from Gopal Champu, when Krishna met the Brijabasis at Kurukshetra, and the events that took place from there. Then the other references are in Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. I have to look up those verses in my notes again, and I will give them either tomorrow or before we leave here today. So finally, after reciting this verse, right, he recites one more verse, and that's about the glory of Maharaj Yudhisthira's insightfulness to then show that Krishna was the supreme person among all others by honoring him at the Rajasuya Yajna. After that, Bhishma Dev did not speak anymore. And that's the famous verse that is sometimes spoken about our Srila Prabhupada. That person who spoke on many subjects over so many periods of time, then ceased speaking, etc. So Bhishma Dev closed his meditation on Krishna, having realized up to that point. Nothing about what is the Swarupa Bhishma Dev, anything like that. Only saying he understood, because Radha Dasyam is for everyone in all rasa. Right? It is not exclusive, because everyone is serving Radhika. Whatever rasa you're in is service through Radhika, ultimately, because Krishna cannot be satisfied unless Ladini Shakti is present. This is in the 4th chapter of Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jai Shri Bhishma Panchakati.
So we're very proud to have in our Alachua Sangha such a great Vaishnava scholar as Mukunda Prabhu. Thank you for being here. So now we're going to have Guru Puja. Oh, first, very quick announcement Vasanti wants me to make. For all those devotees, anybody here who's connected with ISKCON and thus loves Prabhupada, not everybody who loves Prabhupada is in the ISKCON institution, but anyone who doesn't already have this, and particularly who's new to this Sangha and from ISKCON, if you haven't gotten this book yet, it's Srila Gurudev's commentary, a whole book's worth commentary on Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra. What's the Pranam Mantra? Gauravani Pracharane. And this is Gurudev's discussions with the ISKCON GBP. Sorry, thank you. GBC, I always get them mixed up. In 1991, on the 29th, 30th, 31st, and 2nd chapters of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically the gopis feeling separation from Krishna. Then this is about these two books are about Gurudev's relationship with, Gurudev's relationship with our Srila Prabhupada. And this is, I met when I was in Mexico a year or two ago, the actual artist of this, and he gave me his original picture, the original pencil drawing, and we scanned it, and now we have several good paper copies, if any of you are interested in getting this. And then for those of you who don't already have Gurudev's heart posters, we have many of those, including the Damodar that we all worship during this month of Kartik. We also, as I mentioned earlier, have just a few copies of Volcanic Energy, which we were reading from. A volcano will erupt in your heart by reading that. We were also reading about Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj in Navadvip. Navadvip Parikrama is coming up in a few months, and those of you who don't have this book, you'll be able to go on Navadvip Parikrama through this book. It's full of pictures and descriptions of all the holy places. So, hidden path of devotion, how to enter into, as Mukunda says, Radha Dasyam from this very spot. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Prem Pradeep, going through all the yoga processes from Raja Yoga, physical, to Radha Dasyam. And this is the life and teachings of Haridas Thakur of Srila Gurudev. So, Gaur Premanandi, Bhishma Panchaka Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Dwait Madhav Goswami Maharaj Abhirbhav Titi Mahamahotsav Ki Jai, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Tirabhav Titi Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Now we'll do, Shri Ram has an announcement.
One last thing, so the reference that I spoke about in Chaitanya Charitamrita, one of them, there's many. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was giving a whole list about the glories of Radhika, and to prove his conversations with Arjuna, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 184, is one of the first verses he starts to quote.
484.
4 or 184?
4184.
Adi Lila 4, 184.
Oh,
And this, I think these are
184.
quotes from Padma Puran.
Adi Lila 4, 184. So we can see that by Gurudev's mercy, Gurudev said, I'm giving you the shovel with which you can dig more deeply into Prabhupada's books. I'm giving you the torchlight with which you can see more clearly Prabhupada's books. And I'm giving you the key with which you can unlock the treasure within the treasure chest of Srila Prabhupada's books. So Mukunda Prabhu is a product of that Srila Gurudev. So Guru Puja?
Yes. Just a quick announcement before Guru Puja. With regards to prasad, I made Gauranga potatoes for everybody, but one tray is vegan Gauranga potatoes and the other is not. So we're trying to not mix them for respect for those who are vegan. And then if you are vegan, then, or if you're not vegan, try to leave the vegan ones for the vegans, please. So, I don't know about the other prasad, like, my mom made cheese bread, and anyway, there's other stuff, but the one thing that is vegan for sure is the Gauranga potatoes that I made for everyone.
We should
Thank
call them
you for
something
that
like
consideration.
chop hop potatoes.
Something, yeah.
Quite a few, actually.
There is several vegans here, I believe, so that's why
And after the program, you can see Vasanti about the books.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming and blessing this house and everything. Thank you so much.
Who's leading?
Who's doing RT? Do you have the RT tray ready?
We don't.
Do you have RT paraphernalia? Incense?
We have some
fluid?
incense, but that's like about
There's no time.
Yeah, there's my. I think my
Okay,
mom.
a quick.
We'll just sing and offer with your heart.
You have some flower petals?
We have that. We do have flower petals. So everyone can offer flower petals
First to your own Diksha Guru, and then others.
Can you help me here? Jaidev Prabhu, Shiram, can you help me there?
Start?
Yeah, we'll sing with you, right? Yeah, we'll sing.
Yeah, all together?
Yes.
Shri Guru
जय श्री वैष्णव ठाकुर की जय। जय श्री भक्ति दैत्य महाराज तिरुभाव महामहोत्सव की जय। आविर्भाव तिरुभाव
Avirbhav for my Paramagurudev, Tirabhav for Gorkishora Swami Maharaj.
श्रील गोपशुरस बाबू जी महाराज तिरुभाव महामहोत्सव की जय। महामहोत्सव की जय। महामहोत्सव की जय। जय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। जय। वैष्णवे पुण्यं पितं राजं विश्वस्तासनायते
Does anybody want books?
I want to reserve a copy of the Harmonist.
But I'm very keen.
I think I have everything
We
else.
can't get them today. If you want them, they'll be in our room upstairs in the temple. Do you have more copies of them?
Tomorrow night, Sripad Mukunda Prabhu will be giving class at the temple, 7 p.m. And I have a question for the seniors here. Do we break the fast on the full moon or the day after the full moon?
Full moon. Even though I'm not senior, but that's what we always do with your day.
Always on. So starting from Thursday, which is the full moon day, that's the day when those who haven't shaved for the last 4 months can shave. Yeah, no, I didn't do that. And also we can take tomatoes and eggplants and all the things that were forbidden for the last 4 months or a month, starting on Thursday. So Thursday you can have a pizza, and you can have sesame seeds and eggplants and all those papadums, urtal. So
Burritos.
hopefully somebody will make something nice at the temple.
I'll volunteer to make burritos.
Pizza.
Both.
You're not gonna make pizza, you did it at the Golden Girls.
Huh?
You made pizza at the Golden Girls, remember?
The when?
The Golden Girls.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Golden's still alive.
Huh? Well, she's voting. Oh, pizza. Okay. I guess it's pizza. There's nothing that says cartoon sober like pizza. No, I
Well, I want to, but is it like, is it kind of like summer do that? Not just, is it pointless to do that if I take it out of sunrise anyway?
Oh my God, great. Yeah,
I have one in my car. Brilliant. It's in my car. I got it. Yeah, I'll get it. Sorry. Okay. I want to do a little extra thing. I'll probably get rid of that from the week till tomorrow morning to freak out.
I wasn't sure about eating on the road, but
Into waiting at least till after sundown.
Oh, Chikavati. So cute.
what's your idea of the peanuts? I don't eat them on Ekadasi.
Thank you.
She's up there. She's up there in the.
What did Prabhupada say about
She's
peanuts?
up there in the rain.
We ate it. And I once was with someone who gave a Gaudiya sannyasi some peanuts for Ekadasi, and he said thank you. They were going to eat them. But they are a bean.
There was a box.
It's here. It's here. It's the box is here.
And vanilla is not.
Prabhupada, no, these are his chocolate, grows on trees. But Prabhupada ate carrots.
And cheese balls.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, they might not be.
I used to make carrot halava on Ekadasi.
Well, I'm not sure if she used, it's this kind of
You use tapioca flour.
But I told you about
sometimes they use shaving soda.
Or
We're on camera.
Rama.
Yeah, right.